bits of light. And my shadow has life of its own, watching you while you sleep all alone. I'm condemned to the long, endless night, and I live in the absence of light.
Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie.
Big welcome back to Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie. My very special guest this week is Beardo from the Beardo Gets Scared YouTube channel. I've got questions for you.
Yep.
So I know you're a debunker, and I wanted to start off with a particular subject. I know you investigate the paranormal, you also debunk the paranormal. Before I get onto the thing I wanted to talk to you about, what's your views on the paranormal? You know, what do you think paranormal is?
I mean, the paranormal, by definition, is something that is beyond the realms of the normal. Something potentially that can't be explained, whether that's ghosts, UFOs, or cryptids. Now, I'm a believer in the paranormal because of personal experiences. I believe in alien life, but I don't believe it is kidnapping farmers in sort of the mid-America and anally probing them and all that. I don't subscribe to that.
Do you
but
subscribe?
I think in an infinitely expanding universe, it's ignorant to think we're it.
Do you subscribe to the belief that they've visited us or they are visiting us? I'm with you. I don't think they're blooming abducting people and that. But do you think that they've been here before or that they are still here?
I think they've been here in our past, and without trying to upset people, I think a lot of the religious beliefs may stem from something we didn't understand. For example, Zeus in his sky chariot could have been misconstrued from something else. There's drawings in caves all over the world showing the same images and stuff, and I find that very interesting. The pyramids, we still can't make them in this day and age. I've seen a lot of people say that it can, and they've worked it out, but until they recreate it, then I think there was something else at play that we still don't understand to this day.
Oh, and I agree with you 100%. I'm a subscriber to that ancient astronaut theory sort of thing. I believe we were visited in the past. I mean, you can't look. Mankind is an arrogant beast, right?
Yeah.
to sit and think that we are the most advanced species in the universe is bollocks. The universe is so old, and you have people sitting here going, "Oh, but we can't travel faster than the speed of light. We can't warp time." If someone else has been around 1,000,000 years more than us, how do you know they can't? Right?
Yeah, exactly. And maybe we are looking at it too linear. Dimensional travel and stuff, and we don't know what happens the other side of a wormhole, and
That's exactly it.
It's like Stargate, where that door opens to somewhere. Doors open both ways. No, that wasn't Stargate. That was the Avengers.
Yeah. But like Star Trek, where a warp drive was basically folding space to travel. Now, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, I'm with you. I think a lot of the religious stuff, and you talked about Zeus. Look at the Hindus with the gods flying around in Vimanas, and Christians talk about, oh, look, we followed a flame across the desert and all this sort of stuff. Put yourself in ancient man's shoes, right? Your brain doesn't go click, 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 click. Oh, that's a spaceship. You don't know.
No. No, because we didn't know what space was then. We thought the sky was a very solid thing, that if you hit it, you bounce back.
And that's my point, and that's why I think that we've got issues now with disclosure. See, to me, there's two major groups that don't want anything disclosed like that. One is the military-industrial complex, because they gain out of it by any technology. The second thing is the major religions of the world. You imagine the chaos if we expose, actually, there's an alien race out there, and they actually were the ones that seeded us or created us. There would be, it's bad enough now the religions fighting each other. Imagine it.
And that's a big one, that if aliens are proved to have been here all those years ago, it undoes a lot of religion, and maybe they want to keep that to themselves. And then there's obviously the military aspect, and all this stuff that keeps getting released lately, and I'm like, why is it filmed on a potato?
Yeah.
Why is there nothing clear? And I think all the stuff that's been released recently is to just distract from the absolute state the world is in right now.
For sure, I agree, because you're telling me that these craft don't have high definition cameras on them. The aircraft. Come on, we're talking 21st century here.
Yeah, we're looking at certain military outfits, for example, the United States military, who are so advanced, it's scary. They can see somebody pooping in a straw tent the other side of the world, and they can see them clearly to work out who that person is, but they can't capture any clear footage. Whatever they are releasing, if they do have something hidden, whatever they are releasing is meant to just provoke thought, because they've not definitively proved anything. They've just fed into some people's superstitions, and then they're also feeding into people's other beliefs of this is all bull.
And it's also it's also like they're trying to placate everyone. They're just trying to keep us quiet. And these so-called whistleblowers, I think my view is they're actually put up by the military to appear as though they're whistleblowers.
Yeah, and I've watched a lot of like the Bob Lazar stuff, and then I'm like, well, and what was the other one? Skinwalker Ranch. I watched a 3-hour documentary on Skinwalker Ranch, and I'm like, I've been sat here for 3 hours, and you've provided nothing. You didn't even provide potato quality footage for me. There was just nothing there for me to say, oh yeah, that could have been a UFO.
Exactly.
That could have been a skinwalker. There was nothing.
No, exactly. I know exactly what you're saying. And this now segues into, the aliens if they wanted to, if there's extraterrestrials and they want to reveal themselves, they're going to reveal themselves, right? The US government ain't going to stop them. So there's going to come a time when there's disclosure. It's because they've decided that they're going to disclose themselves. But at the moment, I think there's something going on there. I think they're protecting religion. That's what I think.
Yeah, it's a good enough reason too, I suppose, because it could cause absolute mayhem.
Oh, you imagine it. The Pope suddenly out on the balcony and has to sort of tell everyone, look, we've been bullshitting you for 2,500 years. Imagine it,
Yeah. Excuse me, Your Eminence. You've got some explaining to do.
Exactly. Now, I want to talk about what we're talking about, His Eminence. I watched this video last night. This Paranormal Nightmare TV thing last night, okay?
Yeah.
Demons, all right? Now, you see, I've got this theory that I put to a lot of the local paranormal investigators often, and some of them have started to go, oh, yeah. You see, what I don't get, and you kind of touched on this, what I don't get is, if now let's just, for argument's sake, demons exist, okay?
Yep.
If demons exist, why is it that only a Catholic priest can come and do the exorcism? Why can't I get a Hindu guru or a rabbi or you see what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It also falls in line with why can't I get possessed or, because I'm not religious then, is it possible for me to become possessed? Because all of the sort of big cases where people have been possessed, they were all from heavily religious families and backgrounds.
And this is my point, Beardo. I think that demons are created by the church as a way of bringing people to the church. There is no demons. They just create the fact that there's a demon. So because there's a demon, you have to come to us because we'll save you.
Yeah, possibly. I tried to be a bit careful with it because if somebody's got, I'm not religious in the slightest, but if somebody has religious beliefs and it makes their life better, makes them a better person, makes them feel good that there's something afterwards, then have at it. By all means, have at it. You ain't hurting anyone. But then when it becomes fanatical and when you're controlled by somebody telling you if you don't follow this rule, then the demons are coming, then I'm a bit like, all right.
Yeah, I think the same way as you. Each to their own, but it's kind of like, to me, the demon thing is a control thing. It's like, well, if you don't come to us, then the demons will get you.
Yeah, and then the whole, you can pretty much, in some religions, you can do whatever the hell you like. As long as you repent before you snuff it, then all's good.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
No. If you've gone and done some really heinous, horrible stuff in your life, there ain't no forgiveness.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. That's and maybe that's transfers into the spirit world. The demons are just a horrible person after death.
Yeah, a lot of the comments I get when I went to a house recently and I was told there was a demon there. So I went into that house and I picked a fight with a demon. Come on, scratch me, kick me, and obviously in the video it was toned down. I cut a lot of it out, but I went hard trying to provoke a reaction, and I got nothing. That doesn't mean there isn't in my mind, it means there's not a demon there. I don't think there ever was, and that story was made up by some channels to get the videos published.
Listen, you just said the word there that was critical, in your mind. If the church have you believe that a demon is evil and therefore you need our protection from it, then in your mind you create the demon.
Yeah, and this is the thing, with a channel I've covered recently, where I'm like, my question now is, are the demons there targeting people's personal demons? And if that falls into the realm of mental health, substance abuse, then that's pretty bad,
Yeah.
To go into somebody's house and say, yeah, it was a demon and we've cleansed it, you're safe now. That's why I've always been careful. It's like, all right, these people have bought fully into that. They've helped those people.
See, that's
But then,
I've always struggled with that. I've always struggled with that. We've cleansed it, right? You know, I mean, these things are supposedly really supernatural, really, really powerful, and you just walk in there and say a prayer and wave some sage around, and it's gone. Really? You know what I mean?
yeah, and the Catholic Church are not exactly happy to just go out and do blessings, and to get an exorcism of a property or a person is a big deal to them. Now, say there's nothing to it. There is nothing in religion. I don't think those priests are in on it. Those guys have put their entire life, soul, and being into everything in that religion. They believe it 100%, or most of them do. And then they believe in demons, and then they think they're exercising and performing certain rituals, rites, and if they help people with that, cool. But there's a lot of people have died from exorcisms because of mental health, starvation. Maybe they didn't need a priest. Maybe they just needed a doctor.
Yeah, exactly. But see, this is where it gets back to, like, when you see it on TV, supposedly everybody's Catholic because it's only a Catholic priest that turns up. I mean, what if you're an atheist and you get possessed? Does the Catholic Church come up and help you or not? Or do they only help you if you agree to join them? You see?
That's something I asked in that video that I did.
Yeah.
Like, does a priest just come out and help? And the response in the comment section was 50-50.
Oh, okay.
There were people, I'm a Catholic and the priest will help anyone. There were other people like, I'm a Catholic and no, they won't. You've got to accept the Catholicism. And I'm like, well, but then has anyone ever been possessed that isn't religious? Because I know you can get possessed in other religions. Like, obviously it happens a lot in Africa.
Yeah.
But obviously they're not Catholic, so it's a different series of demons, different gods, and all the rest of it. But still, it ultimately forms down to they believe.
Yeah.
I don't personally. I don't think I could get possessed because I don't believe. But then I'm the same guy that has got that's terrified of Ouija boards. So
So tell me why you're terrified of Ouija boards. That's an interesting thing to talk about.
Because I had a really bad experience with them.
Yeah.
Now, I misremembered some elements of it. I've spoken to 4 of the boys that were in the house that night, and we all remember it all different, except for the sort of final event. And the final event being that a glass sort of flicked from under our hands, because we didn't have a proper Ouija board and a proper planchette. It was a makeshift Ouija board and a whiskey tumbler or a glass,
Yep.
And it flipped up the right way, shot across the room, and it burst before it hit anything. And all of us cleared the house. There was a lot of people there. Now, there were people in all different rooms. I basically had a house party in my parents' house. They went away, and they were like, don't have a party. I had a party. And that party lasted for like 3 days. But that in itself was terrifying enough, but then it was the things that the Ouija board was saying was terrifying us, and then afterwards, some people forgot about it. A couple of days later, some of us had things not right for years after. I moved in with a friend not long after it because I was scared of my own my parents' house because of it. I'd been living there about 3 months, and he was like, "Dude, you've got to go." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You've got to go. I keep hearing people walking up the stairs. I'm seeing shadows and all the rest of it. It's got to be that." He was there that night, but he wasn't on the Ouija board. He was in a different room. And he is a complete skeptic. He still is to this day, but that Ouija board still scares him, and he won't touch one.
Okay.
Which is why I'm now doing this Ouija board experiment where I'm going to see if I can get something, if I can provoke something, or whether it was just the power of alcohol, weed, and a bunch of teenagers not knowing what the hell they were doing, and we somehow created that, made that happen.
Yes, your mental energy or whatever. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because I'll tell you my Ouija board experience, and it was actually quite naughty. It was I've been involved in the theatre industry for a lot of years as a technician, and as a theatre back in my old hometown of Christchurch in the 90s. There was couple of girls there that decided they'd dabble. Let's dabble in the Ouija board because there's, as is usual with the theatre, there's a ghost. There's always a ghost. Someone died in the theatre, so they were going to talk to this bloke that died. And from the room they were in was the dressing room, and from the lighting box you could get onto the roof of that dressing room.
Right.
You know where this is going. So myself and the stage manager were laughing about these two teenage girls up there doing this thing, and we're down in the foyer and talking to the chairman of the group at the time, and he said, "What are you guys laughing at?" We said, "Oh, those two teenagers are up there doing this Ouija board thing." And he's like, rolling his eyes. And it just dawned on me, I don't know why. So I grabbed the stage manager, we went up to the lighting box, we got up on the roof of this dressing room, and you could hear through if you put your ear to the floor, what they were saying. So we thought, this is quite funny, they're calling something out there. So we started dragging bits of equipment across the roof. Well, about 2 minutes in, we heard these screams, and these girls took off, and we come back down into the dressing room. Oh, they'd gone. We went downstairs, and the chairman is on the floor, rolling in tears. He's laughing his head off. He said, "What did you do?" So we went up there, we dragged the stuff. Well, these two girls came back next day to do the show, and they wouldn't change in that dressing room. Oh dear.
Sometimes the temptation is too much.
It was because they were kind of like, they kind of didn't really have any clue about the paranormal. They were just making shit up. Pre-internet days, you read a book and you thought you knew it.
Yeah.
It was quite funny. That was my Ouija board experience.
Very different to mine.
Yes, I'm talking to Beardo here on Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie. We'll be right back after this.
Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie on Rocket FM.
Trapped in a coal mine. You know they're all dead. Bodies line the horizon. Dark clouds collapse in the sky, and no life left on the lifeline. First you wanted nothing, but then you wanted more, and now you want it all, and nothing left but time. So there's your answer. Nothing left to take, and now you're stuck in wastelands. Ask why you're forsaken. Wrong minded you wanted nothing but then you wanted more, and now you want it all, and nothing left but time. So there's your answer. Nothing left to take, and now you're stuck in wastelands as find your forsaken. You blow it away. You blow it away. No time in the timeline. No line in the pipeline. Wrong mind at the right time. Because you blew it away.
Kiwi band Arrays there with Hungry Ghost. And we're back here with Beardo. Now, see, what do you... I want to talk to you now. I know you go out on investigations with guys like Ghosts on Trent and that. What do you... I'll tell you what I think about when a spirit in the house. I kind of... because I watched some of the guys, and you see, you guys are so lucky. You got these houses in the UK that are sitting there bloody abandoned with everything still in them, right? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Right? And I sit there and I think, now, you're calling out to these spirits. Now, I've started to form an opinion that perhaps the dead or the spirit that you're talking to is actually sitting in that room as it was, say they died in 1989. They think they're in 1989. Yeah. They're sitting there and you're appearing to them as a spirit. That's what I'm wondering. I don't know what you think about it. What do you think spirits are? I'm kind of beginning to think, just on how some things occur on these videos, that perhaps that's what's going on. They're sitting there going, holy hell, I've just seen a ghost, you know?
Yeah. Obviously, the last place I went to, I was expecting nothing from there. And Ghosts on Trent had been there a couple of weeks before. They'd been there for 6 or 8 hours, and they had nothing. No noises, nothing. And I was like, all right, I'm still going to go, because all these other teams have had stuff, and I think these other teams are full of it.
Yep.
So I'm going to go anyway, because I've got to be fair. We got in there, we'd been there for 5 hours, and I'm like, nothing is happening. And they were like, can we break the app out? I was like, I don't like them, but yeah, feel free. It's your investigation. I'm just tagging along. They brought the app out, and these guys don't believe the apps, but they find it interesting. And, if it's as quiet as it was after 5 hours, you got to do something. Otherwise, your video is just us talking to the air and nothing happening.
Yep.
So we chatting away, and at one point, I think I was even mocking the app at one point. Like, no, I asked you a specific question, and whatever word you've just thrown out isn't that word, blah, blah, blah. And then we were half talking amongst ourselves about how quiet it was, and then we heard something fall onto the stairs above us. And my audio picked it up because I was stood at the bottom of the stairs, and my camera was facing my face, and my back was to the stairs. So obviously I move up the stairs, see this thing on the floor. Turns out that's not what fell, because it was there the entire night. But we were like, we haven't heard anything all night, and then we get that. And all right, is it paranormal? No, the house is a mess and all the rest of it. We'll keep calling out, nothing. And then clear as day, I hear, hello.
Oh, right.
6 footsteps, and then another hello. And I looked down at these 2 guys thinking, has my brain just made this up? And they've got the same look in their faces, like, really? And as we start to see there's somebody in the house, because at this point, I'm not thinking ghost.
Of course.
I'm saying to them, there's somebody downstairs, and I've got a camera down there. It's not on, but I've left the camera, my REM pot, everything. It's all over the house, downstairs. We need to get down there. As we're discussing going downstairs, and we're like, shit, is it the police? Is it neighbours? Because the last thing you want to do is burst into a room to grab your camera and scare somebody.
Yeah.
And then get a bat in the head or a knife in the chest, because you never know how people are going to react.
Yep.
So we go downstairs, or we get halfway down the stairs, and when I played my footage back to make the video and I'm editing, I'm like, shit, that went on for longer than we realised. From my video, the initial hellos that stopped me talking, they're not in the video, because obviously I'm talking into my microphones, and that's louder than anything else. But when we start whispering, there's more hellos over the top of it, and then you hear the footsteps, and you can hear us say there's another hello. There's footsteps, there's somebody in the house, and we're not saying there's a ghost, we're saying there's somebody in the house. We get downstairs, nothing. We were like, right, that's not the police, that's not a neighbour. Because if he was a neighbour, they'd have heard us shout hello down the stairs back at them and then called the police. So we walk around and we're like, there's nobody here. This is a really interesting event. Still not saying it's a ghost, but how else do we explain what happened? Did, the house is boarded up. Did a voice somehow travel from a neighbouring house? But this is a little tiny village in North Wales. There's nothing around there, no busy roads. Where did that voice come from? Numerous times, and why was it only saying hello? Packing up all the gear, we left our lapel microphones recording. And I think Ghosts on Trent are going to make a video of the conversation we were having afterwards.
Oh, right.
Even though there's no video footage. Because it was just us discussing it. And we get to the entry point into the house. It's all boarded up, bar one window. We get there, and Mark says, nobody's been in this house. And I'm like, are you sure? Because we've had somebody saying hello walking around. And he was like, right, we came in, across this front path, stepped onto that chair outside, in through the windowsill onto another chair, and then down onto the floor. I said, right. He said, it's been raining for the last 3 hours. It is bone dry. There's no footprints. For us to have heard footsteps, somebody would have to have walked through the house. There's no heating. There's plant life inside growing through all the windows. This place is wrecked. And that's the point where I was like, shit, what did I just experience? And you see these teams, they go out, they get a voice, they get this, they get that, and an hour later they've forgotten about it. It's not a big deal. I had a 4-hour drive home, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. I got into bed, my wife wakes up, like, what time is it? I was like, you don't want to know. Let's just go to sleep. She was like, all right, anything happen? And I was like, told her my experience. She was like, do you think your cameras have picked it up? Because in real time, we don't know what the microphones have picked up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hope so. Otherwise, everyone's going to think we are full of it. And then the next day, my phone is going off. Their phone is going off because we messaging each other going, shit, it's there. We've got it. We've got the voices. And, this is a week and a half later now. And that is still... Is it a ghost? I don't know.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, ghost, I mean, could it be they are in another dimension, or they died in a year and they're in that year and they're saying hello because they can hear you in the house? I mean, that's
are they calling out to us like we were calling out to them because they're either in the past or the future? Who knows? Time slips could be real. Dimensions could be. I mean, we know there's other dimensions. I think. Yeah. We just don't understand them yet. So who knows? Or I mean,
so what do you think? What do you think that was? What do you really think that was? If it wasn't anybody in the house, do you think it was a spirit or someone in another dimension, or what? I mean, you can only speculate.
I don't think whatever we picked up, I don't think it was interacting with us.
Right. Because
obviously it would, whatever it was, would have heard us saying to each other, shit, there's somebody here, there's somebody downstairs, there's somebody there, hello, and Paul bellowed down the stairs. He put on his big man voice, like, let's scare them a bit in case, let them know we're here. And then we just hear another hello as we're moving through the house. Like, that's a really odd thing to see. Like, it was unaware of us. So, in all honesty, I don't know. Could a neighbour's voice have somehow travelled through the air, through boarded up windows, but the footsteps... Bearing in mind, we'd been there at that point 5.5, 6 hours. We'd been walking around all night. We did not hear any sounds of floorboards creaking after we'd stopped moving. There was no... You live in a house, and your house has its creaks, its bangs, and weird noises. Every house has them. This place had nothing. Nothing at all. And then we get that for about 15 minutes from the thing landing on the stairs to the last voice. There was a 15-minute time period, but we felt really weird as well. Like, I never had the creeps in that house, and then that thing fell, and that's probably why I felt creeped out. But to explain what was it, I don't know, some sort of time slip, something react. But I don't think it was interacting with us. I think we just caught something saying hello and walking, which is a bizarre thing for a debunker to say.
See, I struggle sometimes with the teams that sit there and go, that was on command. Because my view is, right, if I'm a spirit, you're not commanding me to do anything, right? You know what I mean?
No.
I'm gonna talk to you if I want to talk to you, sort of thing. You know, it's kind of, or I'm gonna interact if I want to interact. I don't know. I do struggle with a lot of the teams, and same as the often just the knocking and the creaking floorboards. I mean, is that compelling enough for me? No.
No.
You know, anything could knock. I mean, yeah, we don't see it on these videos, but how often when you go into these houses, there's a couple of things. Because do you ever find evidence of someone, homeless person living there at all? No.
So
Yeah.
what we do, me and any of the teams I've worked with, we do an initial sweep. We walk through the house top to bottom. We obviously, you look for a person or the sounds of a person, and then you do things like check the bottom of an ashtray, see if it's warm. Is there a smell of fresh smoke in the house? Are there food and containers and stuff without mold? Things like that. You conduct that sweep because you ain't getting your equipment out of your bag. You've got your one camera out and that's it. You don't take anything else out because the last thing you want to have to do when you walk upstairs into a house is somebody goes, get out. You have to pack all your equipment away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's just for the abandoned stuff because while we are not breaking any laws, if somebody has to bed down in one of these places that's damp, wet, cold and miserable, they are going to defend that like it's a palace. And I have to respect that. That is the safe place. And I've got to be very careful of that.
Do you ever come across anyone?
I've never come across anyone homeless living in anywhere I've gone.
Yeah.
But when I first started going back out with my friend Dean, we went to an abandoned care home, and this place, the roof had collapsed. We didn't know until we got there. And the place was in such a state. Nobody's going to be living there. And we both stood in this room. There's rubble everywhere. All the ceilings have caved in, so you can't get upstairs. We stood on this rubble. We got a camera either end of the room, and we talking. We got the apps going, all the equipment, because I didn't know any different. And I was like, all the other teams use these. And then we start hearing these really weird noises, and I was like, wow, something's happening. And then I corner my eye, see this white flash of light. And Dean went, holy shit. And I was like, don't holy shit, that's a person. And he went, right. I was like, if it's security, you don't want to scare him, because I did security for 22 years, and you don't want to jump out on me.
Yeah, yeah.
So I said, I'm going to go to the front door. You stay here with all the equipment, and I'm just going to shout hello, put my torch on, make sure they can see me, and say, you know, I'm not a threat, I'm just making a video. As I turned this corner, I put my torch on to light my face up and say, look, I'm here, we're just making a video. As I turned the corner, all lit up like a Christmas tree, this woman's face appears in front of me and just screamed. And my arm went up like, I'm going to throw a punch. Because she scared me.
Yeah.
And then I realised it was a woman, and I was like, if you're security, we're just filming. And she was like, oh, I thought you were security. I was like, oh my God, you nearly gave me a heart attack. She was like, you scared me. I wasn't expecting a guy your size to come trembling out of there. I thought he was a ghost. I was like, all right, no. And she said, oh, but it's all right, because the two boys behind me would have had my back. And I looked, so I was like, they've gone. Okay. So what do you mean? They've run. But yeah, we've had that. I've been in another place where we're calling out, and I hear somebody say hello back, and I'm like, uh-oh, what's that? And then you hear somebody go, oh, there's somebody in there, and then you hear them run off.
Yeah. So, like,
yeah,
you must come across a few urban explorers while you're in there, do you? And especially in the big places like the care homes and stuff.
Not so much.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The thing is, because the problem we have is the police don't care. As long as we're safe and we're not smashing the place up, the police don't care. Right. They're happy for us to do whatever, as long as we're not causing a nuisance to neighbours or damaging anything. But the problem is, when the names and locations of these buildings get out, that's when the kids turn up and party in there and drink and smash the place up. Yeah. So these places are very secretive. The reason the Jumanji house is called the Jumanji house and now the Demon Jumanji house, the reason it's called the Jumanji house is nobody wants to give the location's real name away. So we don't want the wrong type of people going there and smashing it up. Yep. And everyone's like, there's no Jumanji game in that house. And it's like, no, but there's board games everywhere. Somebody at some point doing Urbex called it the Jumanji house because of the board games and the chessboard. That's it. It's to stop everyone working out where these places are.
Fair enough.
So it's quite rare to run into other teams of places. Like there was a farmhouse we all did before Christmas. Loads of teams were in there.
Yeah.
But we never bumped into another team. There was other teams other teams that don't like me were in the same building the night after me, and a team that I like was in the night after them, and
so
somehow we've never all bumped into each other, which is bizarre.
Like this is what fascinates me: is those abandoned houses with everything in. Is that a common occurrence in the UK? Do people just like walk away from them? Is that, or are they rare?
I've been in. I mean, we're only in February, and I've been in 3 abandoned houses this year with everything still in there.
I just struggle with that as a family member. Like if I've had a relative pass away, and there's stuff in that house that's likely family stuff, like photos, whatever, and like I just board it up and walk away. I just struggle. I just can't understand how people can do that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe some of these people don't have families, but then there's a video I'll be bringing out this week where we're in a house, and it's like clearly it was old people in this house. Everything is 70s stuff, but then there's the odd paper from the early 2000s, and you're like, wait, they had grandkids because there's kids' toys upstairs.
Yeah.
So where are those grandkids? Why haven't they cleaned the house or the belongings? What happened? Were they taken into care? Did they actually pass away? Because a lot of these houses, we don't know if anyone's died in them.
Well, that's
sometimes we can get information, but for the most part, we're completely blind.
Yeah, I just struggle with it sometimes. I just think, wow, that's just weird. That like the house itself is an asset you could sell. Why not clean it up and sell it? Just leave it sitting.
Like a lot of us, even the channels that I don't agree with, that I think are fake, a lot of us all have the same opinion when you walk into one of these time capsules, and that opinion is, this is really sad.
Yeah.
Everything is still here. All of the photographs are still here. And photographs they mean less to people now because of digital media.
Yeah, but it's still a like family.
That's somebody's brother, sister, grandfather, grandson, son. It's somebody's family, and everything is just left to rot. And I don't understand. And it's quite a sad feeling. It's quite a weird feeling as well when you walk into one of these time capsules, because it hasn't been updated since the 70s, and it's like it smells like I remember my grandmother's house smelling, and
I mean,
the TVs are the same TVs I had when I was a kid, and it's like, this is weird.
For me as a viewer, right, even if you get nothing paranormal at all, that in itself is interesting. Looking at a time capsule, it's just. The other thing that I was going to ask you about, and you very rarely see it in the places, but I wonder if a lot of the noises that some of these teams pick up that claim are paranormal aren't rodents. Do you see a lot of signs of rats and mice and stuff in these places? We never really see it on film, but there must be evidence of it there. Surely they're not rat-free, these places.
Some of them are, and really? I'll call it out. There's rat drop-ins there.
Yeah.
That farmhouse I went to, me and one of the guys, Nathan, we were lifting floorboards to check for rat drop-ins because of the sounds people were getting.
Yeah.
And we didn't find any, and this house was being worked on, but we didn't realise it at the time.
Oh, okay.
Until the homeowner got in contact with us and was like, this house isn't abandoned, I've bought it and it's being redone.
Yeah.
But when we were there investigating, I remember going into the attic going, who's plastered that wall? Oh shit, we shouldn't be in here. Somebody's bought this. And we did a bit of homework while we were there, like, it's up for auction. But we had the sounds of somebody running across the landing upstairs.
Oh, okay. Weird.
But we found no rat drop-ins, no like balled up. The house was clean of a lot of the items. There were still some things there, but for the most part, it'd all been stripped out. There was a bathroom had been knocked out, and we didn't realise until much later. And it's like there's nothing for a rat to feed on or reason for it to nest here.
Okay.
Whereas a lot of these abandons, we walk around them, we stepping over rubbish and stuff piled up, and it's like, right, we've got to be careful. Not just that a rat will contaminate the sound, but it can contaminate us. But if you walk into a house where there are rats, you will know because of the smell.
Yep.
rat urine stinks. It's a very, very pungent smell that you'll recognise.
Okay.
And then you always got to take that into account. Most of us guys, we do it. We'll be like, there's rat drop-ins, or I can smell rat pee, or whatever. Where other people will go, can you hear that? That's a ghost. And it's like, no, it's not. That's a rat running between the walls because we've been there and it stinks of piss.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, is how often some of the teams, because we can't smell, we can't sense, that's definitely paranormal. I'm thinking, you sure that's not a rat? Or you sure it's not a mouse? It's like...
Yeah, and then that comes down to the credibility of the team that you're watching. Obviously, I work with a specific small group of teams.
Yeah.
And if they say there's no rat, I'm putting trust in them. But then there's been occasions where a team, they sent me this footage and they were like, can you debunk this? And it's two people saying, I love you. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
How in the hell? They still don't believe it's paranormal, but they can't work out where the hell it come from. And they were like, look, you did security for years. Could it be a security guard playing jokes with us? So I was like, a security guard is not going to joke about with you. He's got no cameras in there.
Yeah.
Because all of our cameras are infrared cameras. So obviously we can record in the dark. If somebody's got hidden cameras, you will spot them because of your infrared camera. It'll pick up infrared lights and beams and all the rest of it. It'll show us a bright white light. I mean, don't put this into your radio thing. Take this little bit out. When I worked security, people used to use night vision cameras to break into factories because they could check for PIR sensors on the fence. Yeah,
I understand. I've worked in security a long time myself, and I know exactly what you're talking about. And you don't joke as a security guard, right? I mean, you might joke. No. You might joke once once I've got the person in front of me, and you're trying to just be friendly and diffuse the situation, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But you ain't playing a joke on someone like that,
No, you just want them out.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the ideal situation is you say, look, sorry, you can't be in here, can you leave?
That's it.
And the best situation is they say, yeah, all right, and then you write your report up after.
That's right.
No involvement of the police and stuff. Sometimes it doesn't go that way.
Nope.
But yeah, a security guard leaving multiple speakers and cameras laying around to play pranks on urbexes.
Maybe a homeowner. Maybe a homeowner does, but not a security guard. Yeah. Now, I thought you talk about that. I thought was it the Beachy brothers? I thought I saw a video a while ago where they found a speaker like that in a place. Do you recall that at all?
No.
I'm not sure what team it was. I thought they came across a speaker and they were, someone's been playing stuff with the speaker at us.
That was Taps.
Was it Taps?
Ghost Hunters.
Oh, Taps. It was Taps. Sorry.
They went into a bathroom where there were claims of a woman laughing.
That's right.
They opened the door, heard a laugh, lifted the ceiling tile, and there was a speaker and a trigger.
That's right. That's what it was. Yeah, exactly. Oh, at least they debunked it. That was the main thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to talk to you about gadgets, because this is something that I have an issue with.
Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie on Rocket FM.
Excellent stuff there. A band I used to roadie for in Christchurch, Tempest, and one from, that would have been the late 80s, early 90s, Evil Dreams. And we're back here on Paranormal After Dark. Now, Beardo, gadgets, you mentioned them earlier on, right? And
Yep.
I've got a radio background, theatre background, so I've a lot of technical stuff. And the ones I struggle with the most are these wallies that sit here with these little FM radios, right? And they put them on reverse scan, and they go, because it's on reverse scan, right, it's going to pick up spirits. Well, I say bollocks. When I was a young kid growing up in the 70s and 80s, right, I had shortwave radios. It's how I learnt the news, kids. There was no internet.
Yeah.
And I would put the radio on scan, forwards and backwards. And guess what? I got right. I struggle with these people that actually validate that. Oh, I'm listening to. I've even heard teams say, "Oh, we've detuned it." You can't detune a radio. You detune a radio, pull the shit out of it. It's not going to pick anything up, right? Yeah, I just don't. I struggle with that. And this. Oh, but the spirits use white noise. Really? I just.
Well, like I've said to people, if you think a spirit can use white noise, snap the aerial off your radio and just play white noise. And even then, you still may pick up radio station signals or taxis or whatever.
There's that much RF in the world around us, especially now more so with the internet age. There's so much around that. How can you rely on these things? See, I even struggle sometimes with the Melrems and those other things, because I wonder if stray RF doesn't just set those things off as well.
Right, the REM pods, a two-way radio will set them off, and I've caught people out because I can hear the button depression on a two-way radio. And this isn't me talking out of my ass. I worked in security for so long that radios are a big part of your equipment.
Exactly.
Like, I had somebody question me the other day. They were like, so just because you work in security, I'm supposed to believe that that when a camera moves, it pulses an EMF meter. And I was like, I'm a paranormal investigator. I've been paranormal investigating since 2003. Do you think in all that time I worked in security, I didn't take my EMF to work, hold it up and go, I wonder, oh, yeah, it does set it off.
Yeah,
of course I did.
Yeah, of course it does.
Radios don't set off EMFs, but they do set off REM pods.
Right.
Melrems, I don't know because I don't own one, but I have just bought a tri-field meter, which is EMF, AC, and DC, or whichever, and a temperature scanner, all in one sort of little box.
Yep, I know.
And I haven't bought that to prove ghosts. I've bought that to disprove ghosts.
Right.
Because, if that thing's going to flash up when I'm asking questions and it's very specific and I get that prolonged for a period of time, then cool, that's interesting. But if I walk into a building and I turn my my tricorder, whatever you want to call it, tricorder, that's Star Trek, my tri-field meter on, and I hold it out and I see an EMF 4 constantly, I'm like, there's your ghost. You've got a constant high EMF in your home, there's your ghost, because high EMF comes from bad wiring. That can cause auditory phenomena, visual disturbances, the feeling of paranoia, and the funhouse effect where you can go dizzy and feel like you're being pushed. All of those things come from high EMF, and that's why I've bought it, because I need to disprove everything.
That's right.
And then whatever is left over potentially could be the paranormal.
And that's what you find with theatres. Having spent a lot of time in theatres, especially here in New Zealand, a lot of theatres are old houses, old churches, whatever, that are converted, right? And so the EMF in them isn't the best, the wiring in them isn't the best. And I think a lot of times people are walking in getting stuff. I know, you walk around, you can get stray EMF. Like one of the theatres I've just left here in the city I'm in, Dunedin, after 10 years, we had a local team in there. Great bunch of guys from Paranormal New Zealand were in there investigating, and straight away, they're walking around and there was EMF, and I could say, right, there's lighting way lines there, there's the sub-mains, blah, 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 right, so we get straight away, you can see the EMF meters going, blah, but it was the sub-mains or the thing, so straight away you knew, right?
You can get EMF from old copper wiring as well, even if there's no power in there.
That's right, exactly. But here's an intriguing thing for you. This theatre, there'd always been sightings of. There was a chap. It was founded in a house in the 60s, and the couple that founded it moved on. But a guy lived there till the 80s who was the caretaker. Supposed to have passed. Supposedly haunts the place. I used to just jokingly say good morning, good evening to him when I left, and that just for shits and giggles. If he's the caretaker, he's looking over the place. But the night this team was there, the weirdest thing happened. And afterwards, I spoke to Mark, the one of the guys from the team, and I said, "That's your paranormal activity. That's what was odd." The oddest thing was this building. You know, it's an old 160-year-old house. It always creaked. It always groaned. It was always EMF, whatever. We sat there that night and we set up the trifield meter like you've got and a couple of other things, and the building was silent. The building didn't creak. It didn't groan. There was no EMF. The temperature stayed the same all night. And they're sitting there going, "This is the weirdest I've ever seen." And I said, "That's your paranormal. That was odd. Why did nothing change? The air pressure never changed in the building. Anything. It was odd." I said, "There's Frank playing with you." Nothing changed.
And that's exactly what happened to me and Ghost on Trent in the Jumanji house. Nothing for 5 hours. Not a creak, not a click, not a tap, nothing. It was so silent, it was uncomfortable.
That's it. And so I said, is that the paranormal activity? Is that the spirit world playing with us?
Potentially, yeah.
You know? It was bizarre. You know, just really, really weird. But so, you know, those radio ones I discount. The other one that I'll admit I've played with this one. Okay, I've played with this app and I see a lot of teams use it just as the Ouija brothers will use it just as something to bounce off because they run out of things to say, right? And same as Ghost of Dream. The old Ghost Tube. I played with it the night before I left the theatre. I thought, just for shits and giggles, I've been here for 10 years. I'll take this thing upstairs into the old part of the house and just see what I get, you know. Now, it was interesting. I had it answering me back. You know, at the time I was going in for a knee operation. The app knew that I had a bad knee. There was a couple of other things that came up about my time at the theatre. And I sat there and I thought, well, this is certainly intriguing, right? Mm-hmm. But then I thought to myself, how would a guy that died in the 80s actually know how to work a cell phone? But it was still interesting, you know? I don't know what you think of those.
Like all of the teams that I work with, all of the teams that use them, not once will you hear them saying that's proof of the paranormal because of this application. Yeah. They will say that was interesting. Yeah. And I think as long as you keep that mindset, then you know it's all cool. And I have seen some fantastic results through them. And GhostTube in particular, the creators of that app, they have their own channel called Amy's Crypt.
Right.
And they're quite open with it. I've got a friend, Parple, who's a debunker, and Parple basically got into the coding of it and then messaged them to say, listen, I've got this far with the coding. Can you explain what this, and this is? And he was expecting, like he did with the 3 other apps that he went to get completely shut down. And they were like, oh, no, you need this layer as well. And they sent him everything.
Wow.
And then he's like, all right, I need to question this. I need to question that. I need to question the other because I find this interesting. And they were like, yeah, we'll arrange a video call and we'll go through everything with you.
Oh, that's cool.
And he was like, I was not expecting that. There's another app, I'm not going to name it because the guy goes nuts every time, brings out a video, slates us, and then deletes it 2 days later.
Yeah.
There's a well-known app that all of the well-known fake teams use.
Yeah.
And we got into it, or Purple got into the code in there and was like, this app is dangerous. It's data mining.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it to him. And the guy's defense is always, I'm being picked on by the debunkers. And it's like, why didn't Amy's Crypt?
So what was the conclusion about GhostTube? What did Purple decide? Did he decide it could be legit or it was...
I think he is still going through it with them.
Okay.
Because Purple is very, very thorough in every aspect. When he is quite unmatched as a debunker for video evidence because he is a video editor.
Right. Okay.
he has worked on massive TV shows. What the last full-time job he had, he was working for a advertisement company, editing adverts. He's worked in multiple industries. He's done science fiction, and the guy knows his stuff. And if he says to me, that's a mask, that's a mask. And people often say, well, debunkers are not experts in anything. I'm like, actually, Parple is the only debunker that is an expert.
Yeah, right.
He is an expert in video editing. Who am I going to listen to there? He's not an expert in coding and applications, but he knows more than the average guy.
Right.
And for one of those and it's the only one that's ever been open with him and engaged with him, and that was Amy's Crypt. And I still think he's going through it. I don't know. He's got a lot on with work because he's still a video editor. He's freelance now. But, you know, he was very like, this app is bull, the channel is bull. And now he's like, do you know what? Actually, they're really nice people. They're very open. They're very honest. I've got a newfound respect. Maybe there's something in that app that they don't understand, that I don't understand. Or maybe it's legitimate. It's certainly the least dangerous of them, because it's not data mining.
Oh, okay. So it's definitely not data mining, because someone had said to me, "Oh, you know, it's listening to what you're saying and it's repeating it back." But I mean, I'm not. Yeah, I don't know.
Can't right. The Necrophonic app is the one I have experience with, where I heard my own voice come back out of that thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And at the time, me and Dean were stood in shock that we heard the name Dean come out of it. And it was only when I was editing the video was I like, that was my own voice with reverb on it. Okay. That thing is accessing everything. Now, a lot of people will say the apps are fake because they access your microphone. Yeah. Well, if you're going to call out and ask questions and it's listening for a response, it's going to have to use the microphone.
Yeah. Interesting.
Apparently, it uses the phone's inbuilt sensors.
Right.
So your phone has some form of EMF detection in there. Some form of all this. I don't know specifically, but Parple has got into all of that. But there are other apps. For example, was it Necrophonic? I think it was Necrophonic. Don't quote me that it was Necrophonic 100%. But there was a app that we looked at. I downloaded it. No, I'll tell you which app it is because I've still got it on my phone because I was like, I'm reporting this because it is dangerous. It's called the Necrophone.
Okay.
It asked me for permissions to my microphone and location, which should tell you a little bit. Yeah. Because if it knows the location you're in, it knows the history. But then it asked for access to my videos and my media files.
Oh, okay. No.
Yeah, right. How many people have photographs of their bank cards, their driver's license in their phones?
Exactly.
And you've just given somebody that you don't know access to those things. That is dangerous.
Exactly.
Very dangerous. And they have never reached out to any of us.
Okay, fair enough. Now, while I'm talking about those things, this is something that I've talked about with local teams here, right? When they investigate a particularly old site in New Zealand, because you go back, I mean, our history's not as old as yours, but it's still old enough where we've got a native culture that spoke a different language. We've also got early settlers who likely spoke a slightly different language. Now, the UK, I mean, it goes back centuries. What I struggle with some of the videos I see is that they can walk into a castle and have a conversation in modern English with someone from the 12th century. Now, I posit that that spirit, when it died, spoke bloody Saxon or Elizabethan English or whenever it was it died. Wouldn't necessarily even understand you.
There is a theory, and it's pseudoscience. But the theory is that in the afterlife, there's no language barrier. No matter where you are in the world, there's no language barriers. So think of it like the Star Trek
universal
communicator. The universal communicator. There's some people have said about that.
But is that just a cop-out? Is that just an easy way out to justify it?
Possibly. I mean, I can't say it is a cop-out because I can't prove it as false. But I certainly can't prove it as correct.
Yeah.
I don't speak Welsh, but sometimes I'll go somewhere in Wales and I'll open up an app on my phone and I'll try to speak Welsh because I can read the words even if I don't understand what they mean properly.
Right.
And I'll try to speak Welsh because they're not going to have spoken English 200, 300 years ago.
No.
Everyone would have spoken Welsh. And I'll try to speak Welsh and I'll play. I tend to investigate to my surroundings. An abandoned house, you can't really do it in it. You have a quick look at some paperwork. If there's paperwork left around, get a name.
Yeah.
But you go to a castle, you look at the history, you call out for certain people from history that would have had something to do with that place. And I'm like, they're not going to understand me, so let's try Welsh. And I've never got a response in Welsh.
Yeah, right.
Because none of these apps have a Welsh language option on them.
Yeah. Is there just struggle with that maybe he's Welsh and you're trying to get him to talk to you through the ghost tube, but how's he going to choose a word if he doesn't know modern English?
Yeah, I stopped using any of the apps a while ago. Like I said, if I go out with a team and they want to use an app and they've invited me out with them, then I'm not going to say you're not allowed to do that because I'm here.
Yeah.
It's feel free. It's your investigation. I'm just tagging along.
Yeah. Exactly.
I choose not to use apps, and a lot of my gadgets have been in a bag for I don't know how long because I found that I was letting the gadgets investigate and I was just waiting for them to do something.
That's right. Yeah,
and that's the wrong way.
Yeah.
You use the gadgets and the apps to back up anything that you think you're feeling, hearing, seeing. I mean, I'm not psychic. I can get creeped out, but I'm like, if it's an abandoned location that I'm technically not allowed to be in, of course I'm going to be creeped out. When you go to an old castle that's falling down around you, those places are creepy in the dark. But then I've been, I went to 30 East Drive, the home of the UK's most violent poltergeist, and I felt absolutely fine in there.
I saw that video. Yeah, it was. I was going to ask you about that. We might as well talk about that now before I get on to my other gadget thing. I was going to say that place, for all the stories about it, the teams that I've seen go in there, yourself, I think I've seen the Ouija brothers in there as well. There's been bugger all of anything. Go on for a place that's supposedly haunted.
I have seen some video. I've been sent video footage to debunk. There's a channel called Adelaide Haunted Horizons. Lovely Australian ladies. Yeah. They're in their 60s, and one of them was in the UK. So it was just Alison. She's in the UK. She's like, I'm going to book into 30 East Drive. She's gone there for the night. She's got 2 mobile phones to record on. No night vision, nothing like that. And a doll fell down the stairs. But the way the doll moved was really, really weird looking.
Okay.
And I got sent it to debunk it, and I was like, easy. Actually, I can't work out how the hell that was done. So then I found the original live stream, and I watched the entire live stream, and I'm like, hang on, this woman is 60-something, walking around with a phone. She's stumbling over everything, trying to see in the dark.
Yeah.
And people think she set up pulleys and all the rest of it, and then managed to hide that on a live stream. There is no way.
Yeah.
Now, did the doll just fall because of gravity? Possibly, but it looked weird.
Okay.
And people are still calling them fake, and was still calling them fake after I did a video saying, I don't know. I think this could be legitimate.
Right, okay.
And they are lovely, lovely women.
See, it's
and
bizarre.
I have trust in them, It's
bizarre. I often wonder if it isn't to do with the people, like perhaps certain people's spirits just won't interact with. You know what I'm saying? Like some people. I don't know.
The thing is with Alison and Cag, even though they run haunted tours, for the most part, they are very, very skeptical.
Yeah.
They disbelieve to a point, but they've had things go on in their own families, and they want to believe.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the things they've caught in 16 years, and they're like, that's the only thing we've ever questioned, really.
Wow.
They'll use all the gizmos, gadgets, and apps, but like the rest of us, you try them, you're like, oh, that's interesting, and then you leave it. But that doll was just, if you can watch it, the way it looked like an arm was lifted and it was thrown.
Oh, okay. So
it's just really, really weird.
The other one of those interesting ones like that was the Ghosts on Trent one. I think it was before Christmas when they were in that little chapel in the middle of nowhere and the broomstick fell down. That was interesting.
Yeah, because it fell against gravity, like
That's
somebody
right.
pushed it over.
But it wasn't
And
just
I
a
know
push; it
those
looked like it
guys.
was flung.
Mm.
Yeah, you know, you
Yeah.
know those guys. Yeah.
Also, with 30 East Drive, there's a video in 30 East Drive where it looks like Griff is pushed down into a bed.
I've seen that. Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, Parple being a video editor was like, bullshit. I know they're your friends, but that's bullshit.
Oh, okay.
He watched it. He rang me back. He's like, I've booked 30 East Drive for July because I don't know how the hell that was done. I think it's legitimate.
Okay. Yeah, it certainly looked. Yeah, it looked legitimate. Certainly it looked interesting. So yeah. I don't know if those guys fake shit or not, but that looked interesting.
No.
That looked interesting.
If you saw, or if you were aware of the history of them and fake channels, you'd know they went to war before the debunking community sort of grew.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they disproved EVP sessions.
Oh right,
They were like, we've been out with all of these teams. We've got these EVPs. We've all got the same ones on the same settings.
Yeah.
We heard a ghost talk to us through it. We were blown away. And when I was editing, I realised it was Griff moving his arm. He's wearing a waxy coat. It sounds like hello, and it's not. It's his arm moving.
Yeah, yeah.
So he brought that video out, not realising what it was going to cause. He brought that video out expecting all the teams that they used to work with to go, we've been wrong this entire time.
Yeah.
It's not real. Instead, everyone cranked up that setting, knowing what caused it, to a higher level, and then started dragging a foot, moving a arm, wearing certain types of coats.
I was going to ask you about EVP. So hang tight. We'll be right back after this song from Nightshade, New Zealand metal legends, and I'll be back shortly with Beardo as we talk about EVPs here on Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie. So you think EVPs, for the most part, are being faked like this?
If your video camera microphone doesn't pick it up, if your lapel mic doesn't pick it up, then why would a digital recorder pick it up? They're not designed for ghosts.
Yeah. I mean, I struggle with some of them. You hear like, it'll be like, oh, that's saying hello, and I'm going, bullshit. It's just a bunch of
when
noise.
they play those sounds back, listen to everything else you can hear going on.
Yeah.
There's that high-pitched hissing, and you can hear the internal mechanisms of the machine because they're not shielded. And listen, I am not saying that everyone that uses these machines is a liar. No. I think that some of these people have no idea that what they are picking up isn't real.
Yep.
But if you own a DR60, there has been enough videos about now telling you those things were recalled because they didn't work. They were picking up the internal mechanisms. You should know that that is now not a ghost talking to you, and people are still using them, and they are paying £4,000 or £5,000 to pick them up, knowing they will get false positives to their videos.
Wow. So have you ever come across, or any of the teams in the UK come across, an EVP that you think might be legit?
Me personally, no. Yeah. But there was the thing with the I Love You with the Ouija brothers. Right. They're walking on a care home, and this I Love You keeps going off. They've never claimed it to be paranormal. No. But we can't explain it. But it was picked up. It wasn't picked up on an EVP machine or a digital voice recorder. It was picked up on all three of the cameras multiple times through the house in multiple places.
That's right. I remember that. That was weird. That was very weird.
Yeah. And if you look at the video before it, obviously they go in and you hear a woman talk as Griff opens the door, and everyone's going, there's somebody in that room. So they sent me the raw footage to prove it wasn't. And then another team that barely anyone watches, exploring the entity, that I've also been out with. Yeah. They went to the same care home, not knowing the Ouija brothers had gone there for the first time, and got almost the same voice, but in a different part of the house.
Right.
And they'd not spoken, and I'm like, that leads more credibility to it. The two teams that had no idea of the evidence, because we will say, oh, we've got this location. Do you want the pin for it? Because we trust you. But we never tell each other what's gone on in there, because we're more interested in if another team gets the same thing.
Exactly. It helps to build a evidential case, as it were, doesn't it? To see whether or not, like a science experiment, you're testing and trialing.
Yeah, and listen, none of us claim to be scientists. None of us claim to have any answers. And for the most part, we will just say that was interesting. On occasion, it'll be wow, that shouldn't happen. And I've had that twice in the last year. Of all the places I've gone, and there's investigations that have never made it onto my channel, not because nothing happened, because I've put investigations up when nothing happens. It's because the sound was rubbish, or there was too much wind, or interference from outdoors, or I just wasn't happy with the footage. Yeah. But I have had two events in the last 12 months where I'm like, I don't know, I got nothing. The one of them was that house where we heard the hello in the footsteps. Yep. If I'd seen wet footprints, clearly a human being. I just the voice on its own, nothing. Yep. Just the thing being thrown, nothing. Just the sound of footsteps, nothing. All three, I don't know. And the other one was when I went to my haunted hotel for the second time. And I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding that building and the people working there. But I went there with the intention of proving them as fake. That would have blown my channel up much bigger than me saying I had a really weird experience there that I can't explain. When I got there, they said, I've got full run of the hotel. I can do what I want, when I want. I was like, really? Are you sure? And they were like, yeah. I was like, right, first things first, that haunted doll you got is full of shit. I want to go up there with a screwdriver, and I want to take the plinth apart. And they were like, we don't let people touch the doll. I was like, why? They're like, well, it's apparently cursed. I was like, yeah, but I don't believe in curses, so I'm not going to get hurt by it. Yeah. So I went up into this room, and this is before the investigation started. This is just after the hellos, the shaking hands, because I've got to, I speak to these guys, or some of these guys. I go up there, they take the plinth off the front of it. I've got my head in there, I've got a torch in there, and I'm like, right, there's a wire. I trace the wire. It is just to the LED light to light up the doll. Right, cool. I'm like, right, can you pass me an EMF recorder? Why? I said, because if there's a speaker in here, the EMF recorder will find the speaker because speakers have magnets in them. I don't find any signal. Right, all right, a bit weird, but, you know, if that doll doesn't make a noise when I'm in there, then they could potentially have removed that speaker. So we go about investigating through the night. I see a channel called PSI. One of them gets his T-shirt pulled. I tried to recreate it and I couldn't, and it spun me out. A lot of people were like, yeah, they've edited that and tricked you. And I was like, you have no idea, you weren't there, that I heard the radio going off saying, holy shit, did you see that? Yeah. We've all piled downstairs and I'm watching it on their CCTV, and the guys that were filming live's cameras, they couldn't have edited on their camera and on the CCTV system, lined it all up, but there's just no possible way, because I could recreate it digitally, but that's about 4 or 5 hours work.
Right.
They had about 80 seconds.
Right. Because
I was counting. I saw the footage and I was like, that is wild. But I'm in this room and I'm like, I don't believe in haunted dolls. And I'm talking shit to this doll. Like, come on, Jeanette, you're this powerful demon trapped in a doll, and I don't think that's possible. And then I muttered something to my camera. I'm just about to come out of there because I'm like, nothing's happening, like I thought it wouldn't. And I'm like, right, yeah, I've been in here for like an hour and a half. Nothing's happening. I've got no weird feelings and all the rest of it. And suddenly all the hairs went up my arms. And I was in the mid-sentence speaking to my camera, and I sort of look around, and then this bleh noise happens. And I instantly froze in fear. I couldn't speak. And then I look at my camera, and I go, what the was that? And then I get on the radio, and I'm like, guys, something has just, like, made a vomiting noise at me in this room. What is it? And you can hear them going, hang on, we'll check the footage, and my brain immediately is then going, how have they tricked me?
Yeah, right, of course.
And I'm like, it wasn't the doll, because it came from my right side. And my right side, there's a wall, and there's a chair that I'm sat on. Now, in my video, you see me quick pan with the camera, call out over the radio, open the toilet door, check the toilet, and then that's it. And I'm like, I'm blown away by it. In real time, I spent 45 minutes. I was under the chair. I was pulling lining apart on the chair. I've gone into the toilet. I'm like, right, are any of these tiles removable? Nothing. But the noise came from between the wall and my ear.
Okay, it's weird.
And I was, yeah, and I had this really weird feel. Other people have said that noise has happened before, like the exact noise, like it's a recording. And okay. I can't say it's the exact same recording. I can't say it's not. But I was in that room, and I disproved that a speaker was there and that doll could talk, and something away from the doll made a horrible noise in my ear.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I can't describe the feeling I got just before it happened. And, you know, maybe they could have played a noise, but that doesn't explain the feeling I had milliseconds before that bleh noise came out. It was horrible.
Weird. Now, just before I go, I want to talk to you about, and this is more prevalent on these horrible American ghost shows, right? Yeah, like
they love me.
I know. We only get about 2 here in New Zealand, and they repeat them ad nauseum, and it's so fake it's ridiculous. Now, apparitions and things, you know, and all the years you've done it, all the years your friends in these teams done it. Has anybody seen anything? Because you always see on TV, oh, I saw a shadow figure. Oh, and of course they're always pointing somewhere, and by the time they get the camera there, it's gone. Right? You know, I mean, like visual things. Visually,
right?
Know?
So the Ouija brothers, the reason their channel exists is they went to 30 East Drive for a laugh, 6 or 7 of them.
Yep.
And Steve saw something that he couldn't explain, and it scared him. And that's why they've got that affinity with it, why they've been trying to capture that since.
Oh, okay.
Paul from Ghosts on Trent had an experience of poltergeist activity when he was a child, and he's been looking for that since and not ever experienced it. I had the Ouija board experience, and I saw my great-grandfather when I was a child, but I didn't know he was my great-grandfather. There was just a guy who stood in my bedroom at my grandmother's house. a lot of us, we do it because of experiences, and we are looking for validation of our experiences.
But no one out on any investigation has ever captured anything like you see on these TV shows.
As for shadow figure, I've seen people say they've captured a shadow figure, and 9 times out of 10 I can debunk it. They haven't lied. They just haven't realised that the shadow is something perfectly explainable.
Right.
But for the most, I have never seen a apparition or a shadow figure that has convinced me that it's real on anybody's video ever.
So,
I've seen a lot of people claim them, but they're either fake or mistaken. Because a lot of people, this is a big problem. A lot of people think that debunking is calling people fake, and it's not.
It's not. No, it's not. I agree with you. It's definitely not. You're getting to a rational explanation. Okay, debunking, it's cool. Then you can move on, and you know that next time that happens, it can be discounted. You know, and you can validate the next thing, perhaps. I agree with you totally. It's I just, it is interesting for me that most, I guess you could say, legitimate teams, if you want to say legitimate teams, have never seen anything. So summing up, I mean, the spirit world, if we say it exists and there's spirits in these buildings, why do we only hear them and not see them?
That's probably the reason us legitimate guys do it, is we've had those experiences and we want to validate them. Or, I mean, me, myself, it's either validate my experiences or prove that I was just a really overactive imagination when I was a kid and it lasted far longer than it should have.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's just weird to me that, you know, I mean, we've got a place here in Dunedin. It's called Larnax Castle, but you guys from England would laugh your asses off at it. It's not a castle. It's a stately home that some guy, Scotsman, built here in the 1800s and thought, you know, put it up on the hill and he looked like a castle. It's just like a stately home. But there's always people in there who have claimed to see, you know, they've seen ghosts, and there's been ghost teams going there, seeing things. And I've been in that place. I've never heard anything. To see things, you just think, how are these people seeing things? It's very much like the theatre that I was involved with, right? People claim... Now, I'll tell you a wee story here. Now, I left after 10 years. A little bit of political reasons, a little bit of my time was just up, time to move on. And some newer people had come into the place. And after 3 months of those people being there, I had a conversation with one of them after I'd left the place, because they knew about the ghosts, obviously. One of them made a claim that they were sitting in the auditorium, all the work lights were on, the place was completely lit up, and while they were talking to a person who was sitting in the seat in front of them with their back to the stage, they saw Frank in full apparition on the stage standing there looking at them. Now I say, why, after all those, I've been there for 10 years, there was people that have been there longer, why are you so special that you see it in full apparition and no one else does? You know? Yeah,
it's when you go into, I mean, we can't say those people are lying. Maybe they genuinely thought they saw that person.
Yeah.
Stories like that, they are less credible to me because they're expecting it.
Yeah.
But there's a lady in my live streams called Auntie Kaylee, and she told me a story of her brother. He came home from the forces. He'd been home for a couple of days. He'd gone into the local city, gone shopping, seen his mate that he hadn't seen for like 8 years, waved at him, said hello, and his mate just stared him out, blanked him. And her brother was like, "Oh, all right, whatever, you know, what a guy, like, I was friends with him.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't recognise me," walks off, doesn't think anything of it, goes home, and says to his mum, "Oh yeah, I say his name was James. I can't remember what the name was.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw James in town, and he just stared through me. I can't believe how ignorant he was." His mother was like, "James died 2.5 months ago. He was in a car accident." That has more credibility because there was no history, no story, and he was utterly convinced that his friend was just burning holes through him, and he couldn't work out why. And then when he was told he's not there, and that to me that's more credible.
Oh, exactly. But see, this story, the thing that gets me is the stage literally was probably, like, the theatre's very small, so like they would have been literally, say, 5 or 6 meters away from the stage, and they're claiming a full apparition on the stage. I mean, that to me is just, yeah, whatever. Okay, now I'll tell you the experience that I had, and then I debunked it. Well, I think I did. And I told you in all the years, I never really heard. I mean, I heard the building. There was things going on that you could say was the building. One show we did, which was an interesting show about. I think it was about World War One. I'm not sure, but traditionally in the front row, or the very front of the stage, there was always one seat that was on the left that was pretty much always no one ever sat in because it was a shit place to sit. Now,
Yeah.
after the show, you'd go through your end of show ritual where you'd start shutting the lights down and the sound down and all this sort of stuff. So during the show, there was no one sitting in that seat. And I bring the house lights up. We're doing our thing. My wife at the time is the front of house manager. She's coming up through the seats, clearing up any rubbish that was left behind, glasses, whatever. I look out and I think, oh, damn, I can't turn the work lights on because there's an old chap sitting in the front seat looking at the stage crew clearing up stuff, right? And I thought, bugger it. So I turned away, did something else, came back, he'd gone. So I thought, great, I can go through my routine, shut it all down, done. Now, I thought nothing more of it, and on the way home in the car, I said to Leanne, geez, I said, that old guy sitting in that seat, what a pain in the arse. That's why I didn't turn the house, the lights over. And she said, what old guy? I said, the old guy that was sitting in the front row. She said, I didn't see any old guy. Now, what I will say is, often people would sit there and wait for a member of the cast, to come out because they're family or friend and they're going to talk to them, whatever. So I discounted that, thought that's probably what it was. Not a.
Yeah.
However, the next day I'm standing in the foyer talking to my wife, and there's a portrait on the wall in there of the caretaker. He was a painter. He painted a self-portrait. The painting. Now again, I only saw this old chap from behind. Obviously, the self-portrait's from side on. It kind of looked like it could have been him in the front seat, right, sitting there. I'm pretty sure it was just a geezer sitting there who was waiting for someone, and by the time I turned back, he got up and left, right? Now that, I'm not sitting there saying I saw a full apparition in light or whatever, it's just. But the other intriguing thing with that seat, and that same show, was it that same show? No, it was another show where we'd had some quite bad political, social issues going on amongst people. People don't need them. Anyway, that seat, we're the next day we're doing the tidy up. We put all the seats up as we normally do. Go backstage, do some stuff. We come back, that seat's down. Well, that's odd. We put it back up. We go through. We come back, that seat's down. Now, they're not easy to they don't just fall up and down on their own. Who knows, right? But I'm pretty much sure that the person sitting in the seat on that night was just some old guy that happened to sit there and wait. Why he chose that seat, I don't know. But to me, that's more intriguing than a person going, oh, he was in full apparition. And so my question to her was, well, what did you say to him? If you saw a guy standing in the middle of the stage under the work lights, what did you say to him? Oh, nothing.
Yeah.
I said, my first question would be, who are you? What are you doing standing there?
Yeah, and this is the credible people are the ones that are like, it was a person until I was told otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. There's no way that, like, if you knew this venue, it's probably, say, the entire venue from the lighting box to the stage is probably 20 metres. So where she would have been sitting, it's not a great big theatre where you could sit there and go, oh, there's a person on the stage, I can't tell who they were. If you're claiming a full apparition on the stage, right, that was solid, you're seeing that person in detail and you're seeing that person standing there. There's no way, and that's why I go, nah.
Yeah. And there's always those claims where you're like, as soon as it leaves somebody's mouth, it's like, or no, not at all. Yeah. And then you're like, right, tell me that again. And they tell you again, and you're like, right, you've just changed your story already. That's whole. Yeah. I don't believe a word of it.
No,
that happens.
And I mean, my one, I'm pretty sure, as I say, it was just an old chap sitting in the right waiting for someone. But it's certainly intriguing that he looked like the painting and that seat did this weird thing where it was up and down, but who knows? I mean, that's the only thing I can ever say that I might have seen. But again, as I said to you, I'm putting it down to it was probably just someone sitting there waiting for someone because it happened.
Yeah, might not have been.
Well, it may not have been, but, I mean, interesting. I mean, I'm more erring on that side than saying it was definitely, because occasionally I would often be doing a show and I would think that I'd see someone sitting in that seat, and then I'd look up during the show and they weren't there. But that could well have been optical illusion in the dark, because the seats are dark and the stage is light. Who knows? But certainly, yeah, seeing things is the intriguing thing for me. That you hear people make claims, and the legitimate teams never seem to find it.
Yeah, and it's I think a lot of these people have seen it, but I think it's very rare, and it is a once in a lifetime thing for most people. And are we just chasing imagination?
Well,
I don't know, but it's sure as hell fun finding out.
Well, I mean, the thing is, the other thing that's come to my mind is, if we're going to say that these are intelligent entities or spirits or whatever, are they going, right, I'm going to appear to Beardo now because he's standing there with no camera, but when he's got a camera on, I'll be damned if I'm going to appear for him.
Yeah, I actually got called out for that when I first started investigating again a year and a half ago. I was stood there, and the apps are kicking off and all the rest, and I'm mocking it. And then I was like, is there an unwritten rule that you're like, oh, look, there's a person, I can show myself. Oh, shit, he's got a camera, run.
Yeah.
Is that the rule? And we all make jokes about it. All of us legitimate guys make jokes about it. Like, why is it impossible for us to capture it? And who knows this? But, that for somebody to claim they've seen an apparition, especially in the UK, is very rare. In America, they've all seen them. Oh, yeah. And it's because, and I'm not slating America, it is because of a different belief system. America is far more religious than the UK is.
Yeah.
This is where I'm careful, is not to trample on people's belief systems. Like, obviously, there's the skinwalker craze that happened at some point last year, and I was very outspoken against it, that even uttering those words are insulting the Native Americans.
Yeah.
So I was like, you're using this word in your thumbnail and all the rest of it. You're in America and you're insulting a race of people, and you need to knock that on the head, because it's not on. And it seemed to slow down.
Yeah.
And then they were like, but there were certain channels kept doing it because of my reaction. And then they started posting pictures of them, and I did a deep dive into the picture, and I was like, that picture is actually a human being with a deformity that you are now using as clickbait, as a demon or a shapeshifter or whatever you want to call it. So not only are you insulting Native Americans, you're now insulting people with physical deformities.
It's a bit
Are you proud of yourself?
It's low.
And then UK teams started doing it, and I'm like, how in the hell do we have skinwalkers in the UK when Native Americans and their religions and their beliefs were never over here?
Anyway, mate, it must be getting late over there, so I'm going to leave you to it.
Thank you very much.
No worries, mate. It's good to talk. Go to YouTube and check out Beardo Get Scared, folks. It's a great channel. He debunks some stuff. He also goes out on investigations with people. So, yeah, make up your own mind when you watch the stuff he's got there. It's only his opinion, but interesting channel. All right, that's me, the Roadie, done. I'm out of here. I'll see you next time on Paranormal After Dark. Take the show out is Christchurch band Sins of Eve with Creeping.
Paranormal After Dark with the Roadie on Rocket FM.
Can you feel me creeping up now? I've come to take you underneath the ground. I start to ask myself this: are you prepared? Something's falling for you.